welcome to another episode of The Trade Stylist, the place where we try and craft your trade. Well, this is the week of 6th of April, and once again, we start off with the disclaimers. Primary one is that all views are personal and that there's definitely a lot of risk in investing, so please don't take this as trading advice and do your own research as well. So, hello once again, I am Devi, better known as DJ, and you can find me at TheTradeStylist on Twitter, which is X now, and on YouTube and on Instagram, and I'm here to help you craft your trade. We start our presentation always with a prayer to the trading gods, which is may the trading gods be with us always. And from here, we move to the market update. So how have the markets fared over the week? Well, soft commodities still doing pretty well, more or less. Coffee has, however, gained steam over cocoa in this past week in terms of the percentage rises. And there is definitely an expectation that the rise may be probably meteoric. We've seen almost a 13% and 7% in Arabic and Robusta. While Cocoa London and Cocoa US have sort of stuck to their all-time highs, they're still strong. Orange juice, no movement week on week, but cotton and sugar have both lost a little bit. Sugar, however, invalidated trade last week, so we need to watch, but cotton definitely took a beating. Going towards the grain side of the business, you'll see that most of the things is a mixed basket. Corn moved down a little bit to close the week, but overall it was positive in the week. It has been showing a strongest trend. Wheat, on the other hand, strongly positive based on news, and I think, as we expected, this is a trade which is now active. Soybean oil, soybean meal sort of moving in the same locations, finding still direction. Soybean moved up a little bit, slightly stronger, hit the 12 mark, held it for some time, closed the week around that level. But soybean meal still down, we still need to watch. Overall, by the YTD numbers, sugar is now negative for the year from last year, but as we see, Arabic and Robusta are now picking up speed. And soybean oil is almost close to where it was at the same period of time last year. So yeah, close to that. But corn, soybean meal still the biggest losers, but cocoa again 200% plus up, which is the story of the world. Moving, we looked at TradeCraft, where we are and how the trades have been fared. So number one is definitely the wheat futures, and I think we go active. I am long now at around 570s. With a target of close to around 640. It has been showing a strong resistance, so I would say if the market dips a bit, maybe toward the 560 levels, take a long with a stop loss somewhere around 530, 535, and somewhere around that we can keep playing this market. On the other hand, we look at corn. Corn, as you know, I am already long. This is on the July futures, and I think the market is still sort of there. It has not been a meteoric rise, it has not broken out. But yeah, it stays positive, so no new additions to the position, no changes as such to what the trade setup was till last week. But yeah, we continue to monitor. Acreages report has been positive for corn, so I think that's why it moved up. Expectation from me was that. And next week we will talk about why this expectation was there. Why did I expect the market to do exactly what it did over the last 2-3 weeks? And why was I positive about the acreage report coming out in the favor of corn? We go to TradeSpeak and we see what has been said by the market, and primarily we talk about what exactly happened last week on the wheat front. So there has been definitely news coming out of the market about how the shipment out of Ukraine, shipment out of Black Sea especially, has been completely under pressure due to the war situation between the Houthis and the Red Sea Strait. And this situation seems to be getting configurated again. The Russian operations are definitely creating a sense of dissonance in the market, and that uncertainty about whether the grains flow will continue as they have after the Turkey deal are something that people are now trying to take a risk on. This market has the potential to rise very quickly, very fast, catch everybody out. And I think it's not a bad position to put some long trades in as a risk measure. Again, it's a speculative play, so we need to be watchful of the market. But yes, it is definitely something which is politically sensitive and is politically possible for this kind of action to happen. That's primarily what it is. Coffee, on the other hand, is something that we need to be very, very watchful about, and something that we need to see how the market is behaving over the next 2, 3, 4 weeks. And I think the market is strongly positive towards that side. We look at trader peak, which are the points of interest of the market. Number one is, of course, that the rise of the US dollars is impacting commodity prices. And then the Agri Conference 2024 is focusing on the futures trading this year. On the fund side, the Investco DB Agriculture Fund has definitely outperformed the market. And as we spoke last week as well, India is tightening control ahead of elections. This is primarily on commodities. Soybeans have moved up. Again, we spoke about this on the 12 cents, while the livestock numbers have declined, which probably might put in pressure on the feed side of the business. Cocoa prices surge in Ghana. This is primarily on the expectation that the government is going to raise prices about 50%, same as Cote d'Ivoire. Coffee prices, as we spoke about, reaches global high. This is for the year, and I think we might see some follow-up action on that. And corn futures slightly down, which is basically a function of the yields, not the acreages per se. Looking at the reports coming over the next week, we have the US core inflation, we have the ECB interest rate decision, the China balance of trade, and the UK GDP month of month. I think we really need to watch the US and the ECB interest rate decision and inflation numbers, and they would definitely have an impact on how the markets behave next week. So I'll be definitely interested in that. Going into the trade start, and this is primarily focusing on a question which was raised by one of my subscribers. Thank you, for the way, and I have tagged them in the previous video, so this is for them. So this is primarily a comparison for, number one, the cocoa curves. This is a cocoa forward curve going from present markets to 2026 markets, and our top side is cocoa US, the downside is the cocoa London markets. And as we can see, that's almost sort of on the same curve, which means if you go long right now, you are basically paying a premium of almost $3,600 based on December 2026. If you look at December 2025, the premium reduces to sort of around $2,500. It obviously means that the market has higher demand right now, and the market expects the prices to correct somewhere around $7,600. $7,000 going into December, and this for ice New York. London, somewhere around 6,400 to 6,400 pound level is where the market expects, based on the today's forwards curve, right? And we're going to understand these models a little better when I do my modeling, and I'll show what the forecast says. On the coffee side, similar, but Arabica and Robusta. So top is Arabica, down is obviously Robusta. Robusta more or less has a very nicely contoured chain. I'd say the angles are not changing too much. But if you look at how the Arabica side of the business is, I think it's more convoluted. But that's, I think, a function of uncertainty. So December onwards, it's uncertainty figure. And it's also a lack of liquidity at that long periods of time, which is why probably the numbers are way higher. But July to Sep is a small precipitation, and I think that's where the opportunity is. Probably July to September, I think it tightens up, and this curve gets a little more inverted. And that, I think, is where the market figures out that by December, it should be at around 250 levels. I do think the potential for this to go up higher is far higher. But again, that's also a function of how much the market is going to pay the premium for Arabica. We've seen the premiums come down significantly over there. And so that Robusta and Arabica is coming close in terms of pricing, very close. And this used to be something that is unthought of till at least 2, 3, 4, 5 years back. But the consensus is that possibly there might also be a time very soon where we might see Robusta trading at a premium to Arabica. And that's the changing recipes. It's not the changing consumer preference. The consumers don't understand, the consumers don't know. It's confusing terminologies. I know every person who drinks coffee thinks they're an expert, but mass consumption pattern doesn't really know what goes into a Starbucks coffee. So they don't know. and that's where I differentiate myself from the rest of the market. In terms of my modeling, you would see that my modeling sort of says that around the market, if we extrapolate the numbers, and that's the line below, it should be somewhere on the extrapolated numbers between 6,000 also to 7,200, right? On the lower side, we're seeing somewhere around the 5,600. This is an extrapolated number basis my specific models, and this is again forecast from my side. And this is basis December 2024. This is for cocoa. On the coffee side, typically it's a more extrapolated number. As I said, I think the potential is to around 254, 255, and I think that's where the trend line also is showing. That's where we might end up, probably maybe higher if the trend continues that way. So hopefully that gives you an answer of how to position yourself. But please, again, it's a risk, so cover your risks. Take protective action if the market does not go in the direction that we forecasted. And finally, what we look at trade next is for the next week. We will go into TradeDeeper, which we should have gone into this week, but fortunately we couldn't find time. So we'll look into Maize. We'll look at grain trade cancellations and why they matter. And then of course we'll look at trading some more, and hopefully we all make some good money on it. So thank you once again for tuning into this episode. I hope I've been able to add some value to your weekend. And we go to the next episode on the 14th of April 2024. Thank you. Wish you all the best.